What's up, guys? It's Lanesharkin with Travis, and today we are here with my good friend Michael Currey. Michael, welcome.
Thank you for letting me be here and hang out and talk to you.
Absolutely. One quick thing before we get started, I was reminded by my producer to ask you guys to smash the like and share button if you actually like this podcast and want to share it. Please do so. So anyway, now that we got that out of the way, Michael, welcome. Glad to have you here. So you and I have been friends for, I guess, 5 or 6 years now, and we always pass each other in the mornings, and you make me wave at you.
I make you wave, yep.
And I feel like that's kind of made our friendship a little bit better because we just randomly talk in the mornings for no reason, and just gives us something to, chat about.
Yeah, kind of, for me at least, like, I force you to be nice, or you're a nice guy, but I force you for interactions when you wave, when you drive by. I'm coming back from dropping a kid off. You're going here to the office. And our conversations are random, and sometimes it's a boat, or we talk about that aquaculture machinery.
Yeah,
it's random.
Random. The randomness is nice, and it's funny. I actually have a note about that because you keep sending me those things, and I keep telling you to find us some business, and we'll start another company. I really think that would be something interesting to do. I just don't know anything about it.
I've done research, and I've actually seen them working when my travels to South Florida on Okeechobee and things. And, with all the retention ponds and all the neighborhoods going in, you would think that there could be an opportunity for a smaller machine to go into the retention ponds at Home Depots and Lowe's and Walmarts and all these new neighborhoods around. And then also in Florida, there's so much ag and cattle. All that nutrient-rich water, washes off into the watershed, and we've got non-native species of plants that just love it. They grow, and unfortunately, Fish and Wildlife has to spray to kill it, but I think there could be an opportunity to just harvest it. And there's a couple of professors at UCF or UF or one of the big Florida state schools that are trying to turn some of the water hyacinth into cattle feed.
That would be interesting.
So there's an opportunity there, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just got to have the time to research it, and I have not made any of that time to do that. But yeah, I want to say there's a guy locally that has one, and we asked him to do some stuff at our house, and he basically said it was too hard to get a permit. And so my question was, why do you even have one of these then?
What was his answer?
I didn't personally talk to him. That was Daniel that talked to him. But it was just my question after Daniel told me that. It didn't make much sense to me, but anyway, that would be something interesting to look into, but we gotta make the time to do it.
Yeah, time.
It's getting away from us.
It is, yeah. Career, kids, wives, plural mine of yours. I don't have an extra one laying around, but
I was curious about that.
No, one's enough. Work, career. Trying to fit it all in bird dogs. I saw the shotguns back. I got excited.
Yep.
Trying to fit it all in. It's tough, but.
So how many dogs do you have right now?
4, 3 German short hairs and 1 Vizsla.
Okay. And so is that like a every weekend thing, or do you go like once a month? How often do you go do those trials?
We have a season. It's like football or whatever. It's, you can't really run dogs in this time going forward. The quail are nesting. They actually smell different because that's what protects them from predators.
Okay.
And the heat, and then Eastern Diamondbacks. It's not good for the dogs. But we have a season, and we hit it hard, starting October till about a month ago.
Okay.
Then we go into summer training, and that's mainly conditioning and working with pigeons, because a pigeon's a ground-dwelling bird, and a pointer will point them.
Right.
Treat them just like
so. What got you into doing that?
It's a great question. I didn't grow up hunting. You know, I grew up fishing and boating. That's what my family did. I don't know. I heard stories from my grandfather about bird dogs and the land they had in North Alabama and southern Tennessee. And I went looked at a puppy and
And just kind of started from
yeah,
there.
I wanted a dog with a purpose,
Right.
not a dog
Just to be one.
to have a dog. I want a dog with a purpose, and boy, did I find one with a purpose, and it became an expensive hobby.
Right. But Amy enjoys doing it too, right? Because
Yes, yeah.
is she more into it than you are sometimes?
She's more serious about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's very intense.
Right.
She's a very good trainer. She really knows her dogs. She knows the rules. Yeah, she's really good at it. And it's become a family hobby. And I have fishing and boating, and she grew up in the equestrian world, and she doesn't ride anymore. So she found this hobby. So it's around animals. It is around horses, and it's training animals and manipulating an animal to do something it's bred to do, but for you under our rules. So she's really good at that, and it's something her and I do together, which is fun.
Yeah, I always enjoyed watching my stepbrother when I was little. He had a lab. Him and two of his good friends had labs, and they would train them. And I always enjoyed watching them, and it was very impressive that you could get the dog to do all the things that it'll do. But I just never had the patience to actually learn how to train them, so I never got into it. Patience and me don't really come hand in hand.
I was not given that genetic either, and I find myself in other situations losing my patience. Work, or a kid does something that's just like, oh my god, I can't believe you just did that, kid. And then the dogs, I'm like, sometimes I start to get frustrated, and Amy's like, it's a dog,
Right?
fine. And it's helped me find patience, because Lord knows I was not born with it. But the dogs have helped a lot. Actually, it's kind of therapeutic to work with them.
I got you. So I know you're talking about patience. I noticed in your questionnaire that we got, you talk about your grandfather being very steadfast,
Yeah,
and meticulous.
Yeah.
So we've never really talked about stuff like that. So is that your dad's dad?
Yeah, it's my dad's dad. Yeah.
Okay. Did you spend a lot of time with him growing up?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome dude. He went to University of Vanderbilt.
Okay.
And he played basketball, of all things. And World War II happened, and he got sent to Pensacola to. He was really good at teaching, and he taught Sunday school till the day he died. And he's just really good at teaching youth and just being patient and teaching. I think that's why he never deployed or anything. He was really good at teaching folks how to work on the engines in the Navy plane. It's not the tip of my tongue right now, but that's how he ended up here and married my grandmother, and built a family here in Pensacola. But he's the very patient guy and meticulous. One meticulous thing that I'll never forget, and I've never seen anyone else do it, but maybe on this podcast someone was like, oh my gosh, my grandfather did that too. We lived in like this plot of land. My aunt and uncle had a plot. My parents had a house, and my grandparents had a house, and we would put in gardens every year. It's where my love of tractors probably came from. And we planted a lot of okra and corn and squash, eggplant, you name it, new potatoes, green beans. And part of the summer chores was to hoe it. And my grandfather was meticulous, and I wanted to get done because I had stuff to do, right, as a kid. He kept in his back pocket, always kept a file, and he would hit the edge of that hoe every now and again and just sharpen it. And I was like, why are you doing this? But we had nutsedge and some other stuff, but the effort was less. I mean, physically, effort was less if something is sharper. It's like cutting an onion at home. You've got a dull knife. You have a sharp knife. And man, he was working around this okra, and I was going fast, and he warned me. He's like, you're not doing it the right way. I'm like, well, I'm getting it done, Grandpa. You're not doing it the right way. Wasn't meticulous enough. And every now and again, I still feel the knot in the back of my head where I got hit on the head with that hoe and the old hickory hoe handle, and I slowed down and learned some meticulousness or patience. And but he was a steadfast guy. He had his principles. Never saw him ever out. He always dressed. Went to the hardware store. He put a button-up shirt. Mm-hmm. He was just always prepared and just meticulous guy. And never heard a curse word. Just not really raised his voice. If he did, man, he did something.
Right.
He's a really neat guy.
It's interesting. Yeah. I'm not gonna tell that story. I was just talking about how you never heard him cuss. Like, I have a funny story about Big Terry, but it'd probably embarrass him, so I'll leave it out. So he worked at Pensacola NAS. Is that correct? Or
I'm not sure if it was actually on base or if it was off base, because during the war effort back then, I mean, there were areas in downtown Pensacola that had schoolhouses or what have you for training, but he didn't stay in the Navy very long. I mean, as soon as the war was over, he was out.
Okay.
And he became an electrician, and he was an electrician at, I guess it was St. Regis, and then Champion, then International Paper. He retired probably when it was still St. Regis. He retired probably, he retired younger than you could, because again, he was meticulous. He planned his finances, planned his yeah.
And so, what did your dad do whenever you were growing up?
He worked at International Paper.
Okay.
Yep, he worked at International Paper. He managed a couple processes, like the into the house stuff, like when it was on a roll and then got cut and then recut and then either turned into something else, like boxed or what have you. You manage the processes that are the backside of the house, and then he became a charter boat captain for the last part of his kind of little while. He kind of left. Well, he was forced out, I guess, early retirement type of program, and then bought a little bit bigger boat, diesel boat, and did some chartering there for a few years, and got tired of being in the heat, I think.
Right.
Kind of sunsetted it.
Yeah, I was just curious because I noticed you mentioned that you didn't think that he cared for what he did, and I was just kind of curious.
Oh, no, the dude hated what he did.
But it was just what he knew, and so that's what he did to provide.
Yeah, I'm not sure my grandfather enjoyed working. I think they just did it to put food on the table, provide for their wives, provide for their children, provide for their future, and just went to work.
Yeah.
And I think in our generation, I think that has certainly changed. I don't think I certainly don't think that way. I mean, the moment I stop doing what I'm doing, earning, I'm going to probably find something else to do that I enjoy doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so my first job out of high school, I built electrical control panels. Enjoyed that, but I just wanted something different. So
Sure.
I went, I was a superintendent for a long time, and I constantly would get to where I just wasn't really digging what I was doing, and so I would change it. And that's one thing that I love about being here is every day is different, but also I can kind of chase my interests. And like one day I may be working on a new piece of equipment. Next day I may be working on welding something or repairing something or redesigning something. So I get following your interests and making sure that you enjoy what you do. Like, I couldn't imagine working at the same job through my whole life and not enjoying it.
Your company's small enough and nimble enough that you have the fortunate and unfortunate opportunity probably to wear a lot of different hats throughout the day, right? If in the break room the thing is overflowing with garbage, you're probably one of the first to grab it and go throw it in the dumpster, or you may have to end up something come up your level of customer service you have to deal with, but then you're still able and nimble enough to not get bogged down in anything, to go chase good ideas. Mm-hmm. Or chase terrible ideas that end up being great ideas, or chase great ideas that end up being terrible ideas. I'm sure I don't know exactly, but that's what keeps it fresh, right?
Right.
That's an opportunity to keep your brain engaged. So I guess you're at the right level now, right?
I'm very happy with where we are right now. It's very enjoyable because I have such a good group of people that work here that, the things that rise to my level are very, very, very slim.
That's fantastic.
Everybody here does a good job. They take care of what they need to, and I don't have to worry about it. Like, there's every now and then, like, I'll get involved with something, but it's usually just because I want to be involved, not really ever because I have to be.
Would you say that's because you empower your employees to make a decision and own it?
I believe that. Yeah. I mentioned a while back, like, I want everybody that I know to be a business owner. Like, I want to empower everybody to have their own thing. And obviously that's not how everybody's designed. So
Sure.
I try to do that in my own way here, is like empower them to do it, to be able to do anything in their job parameters that they should be able to do and want to be able to do. Like Brandon, he came on and he's basically taught himself all of this, like video editing and everything. And I just, any kind of tool he asked for, you want it, you need it, you got it. And there's one thing that always stood out to me. My very first job, my boss told me, I'm gonna have to figure out how to rephrase it, but basically it was, if you make a decision to the best of your ability and it's wrong, I'll always stand behind you. But if you don't make a decision, I'm going to chew your ass. And so, like, just make the decision, move forward to the best of your ability, and I'll stand behind you. And that's kind of how I sort of like to treat everybody here, if that answers your question.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I deal, the listeners, I'm in the marine industry, right? I have nothing to do with tractors. I just love tractors.
Yeah, we kind of left out your introduction. My bad. So go ahead and tell everybody exactly what you do now.
Oh, yeah.
We'll go back and backtrack a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm in the boat business. I work for a boat manufacturer. I manage a territory in the southern U.S. I've got, 30 independent boat dealers that I help become better entrepreneurs. Also, I'll say I'm also the kitchen drawer that all the
doom drawer.
The stuff that doesn't really have a particular place gets piled into. I have to sort through that. I kind of do that occasionally for marketing. Sometimes I'm on television shows. Sometimes I'm running a boat for testing or whatever. So I do that. That's what I do for most part. I guess is my main career is boat business.
Okay. So you started out, I don't know if you started out like right out of high school, but you were doing parts at a boat?
Yeah, in college, I was at a local dealer here. They hired me to do all the stuff lazy salespeople don't like to do. Mm-hmm. And then parts was such a big business. Part of the day I would spend doing inventory or ringing up customers or putting stuff on pegs. And then it kind of matured into, hey, on Saturdays, why don't you write up work orders for customers coming in? And then it's like, oh, we just fired this sales guy because he's terrible. Can you work on Saturdays? And it all started at not my family didn't own it, but a family-owned kind of dealership here in town.
And that's Killinger Marine?
Yeah, that was Killinger. Yeah.
They're the ones right before you get to the river on 9 Mile right here, right?
No, they're in Car City, 84 West Airport Boulevard.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I don't know why I was thinking that other dealership. So you worked there as parts, and then it just sort of morphed into you becoming a salesman.
Yeah, I worked in sales, on the retail side.
And you were working too many weekends and wanted something different.
Yeah, you read my thing. It was just I didn't like working a bunch of weekends. I'm going to be straight up honest. I mean, I do work a lot of weekends now, but it's a little different because it's on my time, mm-hmm. not
punching a clock.
Yeah, it was weird. It's hard to explain. Now the weekends are intense, and when I do have weekend events. However, since I'm not going to a cubicle in a building, I can remanage and allocate that time during the week. I can take the kids to school. I can pick the kids up. I can be a dad. Whereas in a retail environment, I mean, you're a slave to 8 to 5 and whatever whim of a weekend you got. I'm not a slave to that. However, I'm a slave to still being a corporate employee. Enjoy what I do. So anyone listening that knows who I work for, I love what I do and who I work for. It's a little bit easier on this side of the fence than it is the retail side of the fence. Mm-hmm. At least works better for me. Now there's some people that doesn't, but it works better for me.
Yeah, the flexibility of being able to control your own time is very valuable. That's one of the reasons. So here I give the whole week of Christmas, the whole week of Thanksgiving, and then all kinds of other random holidays. We close at 3 on Fridays, and there's all kinds of other things that I've done, all because of one day when I first moved to Greenville and I was working for Adams Homes. I had to drive back to Greenville on Christmas Day because I was on training pay at the time. So I had to be at work. It was a Monday. The 26th was a Monday, and we had to be at work. And I will never forget that. I was like, if I ever own my own company, I'm not gonna like make people do these kind of things just because they have to be here. And so that's shaped a lot of things. So I try to give my guys as much freedom as I can, but obviously we still are a retail company and we have to, work normal hours. But yeah, having that freedom, man, it's so valuable. I love being able to, if I needed to go do something, I'm gonna go do it. I don't want to have to be stuck to something.
I can't. I wouldn't know what to do if I had to go to an office every day. I've had opportunities, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I can't do it. I can't do it. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to do it.
How long have you been in this kind of position that you're in now?
Oh, pretty much my whole career. I only spent 3 or 4 years on the retail side of the things. Then I went to an engine manufacturer, and then I went to a yacht builder, and then
I missed that one.
Yeah, I don't talk about that one too much.
How long were you there?
Not long. That was a weird one. It's very common in my industry is they hire someone, some hotshot, some young guy that's a go-getter, and set up the territory, get it right, get it good, and then start making way too much money for them. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, hey, we're restructuring, man. That's what happened to me.
I gotcha.
And so, yeah, I got called in that. And then actually, it was a great opportunity. I went to work for a rod and reel manufacturer, little company called Shimano American.
Oh, okay.
And spent a lot of time, spent 6 years there, 6.5, almost 7. And man, I fished all over this country, East Coast, West Coast, North, South, caught about just every species, got to see new technology, got to be part of new technology, got to help salespeople be better salespeople, independent tackle dealers be better at what they do. It was awesome. But I was on a Delta jet 4 days out of the month. Mm-hmm. And the kids started to get bigger and older and, just couldn't do it anymore. And mama called me home, so went back to boat business.
I gotcha. Yeah, it's nice being able to be home with the kids. Like when I was growing up, my dad lived in Texas, so I hardly ever saw him. And I said at an early age, if I ever have kids, I'm gonna be there. So, yeah, I definitely agree with that mindset.
Yeah, your dad may have been in Texas. My dad might as well have been in Texas. Working at the mill, mm-hmm. With shutdowns, overtime, things they had to do, the stress of being in middle management. He was absent when he was home sometimes, mm-hmm. And growing up, I saw that. I'm like, man, this guy's. I wouldn't say my dad was stressed out or anything like that necessarily, but you could see it on his face that he had a terrible day at work. He had to deal with a union this or employee that, or they didn't make their numbers, or production was and come home grumpy. And I try not to do that, and I know you don't either. I don't want to be an absent father. I do travel and I'm gone sometimes. That would some people consider a lot, but when I'm home, and I'm able to be there, and you can't put a price on that.
Absolutely. So I know you mentioned a minute ago about wearing about a bunch of hats of being the kitchen drawer. Do you ever deal any with marketing, any kind of campaigns in marketing with your company?
What do you mean campaign?
Just coming up with ideas of better ways to market to the customers. We're always trying to think of better ways to market to our people or to our customers, because our biggest problem that we will always have is just people just don't even know that we exist yet. I mean, we spend a lot of money marketing and everything, but it's hard for us to find new people to let them know we exist. So I'm just kind of curious, if you ever deal with much marketing on your side.
I'm glad you asked this, because I love the tractor side of things. I don't know anything about the tractor industry, but I'm going to tell you what we do, and what one thing that I did. So different campaigns. I'm responsible for the saltwater side of our marketing. Not. Let me phrase that. I'm not responsible for the saltwater side of marketing. I'm responsible for the photo shoot, and to get the boat's colored the right way, the options the right way, the extras, the guides that we have to help us put us all together. That's my job. And I started to include more women and children fishing and running the boats. And the first time ever in the history of our company, there was 2 women behind the helm running a boat. I mean, a beautiful boat at speed, perfect. It was in Stewart, just perfect. And they got recognized. I'm not saying it was 100% my idea. I stole from, what you see out there, right? And it changed kind of the direction. So now we do that more, and we've been recognized by some magazines and just industry people. They're like, wow, you guys have really embraced the family culture, because we're a hardcore fishing boat. And we really haven't embraced that side of things. And, we're not trying to soften things, but we're trying to be real. People that typically buy boats, they have families. And why not showcase that?
Right.
But talking about from one huge thing that is so different, because I have a relationship with the people I bought my tractors from, and I go buy parts from them and stuff. One huge difference between what we do in the marine side versus what they do is that we actually interact with our customers. We have tournaments. I know there's no such thing as tournament mowing or anything like that, right? Or cultivating. But we interact with our customers. They have, there's dealers that have just getaways or island time, or they just put up a banner in a tent and serve some terrible hamburgers and have a place to go for people to hang out on the water. They create a community, and we have fishing tournaments. Obviously, we just talk about that. Can't really have anything competitive in the ag or subcompact, compact tractor world, or whatever. But it is an activity in which manufacturers and the dealers, the retailers, and the customers all come together, to have a community. And I think if there's any of the ag folks or people that own tractor dealerships that are listening to this, do something with your customers or show them something. I think during COVID, can I mention names of things I've seen on YouTube?
Absolutely.
People like Tractor Time with Tim, right? That John Deere guy. Dude, that guy is monetized driving a little green tractor. Mm-hmm. Why? Because there's no other, for people that are fans of using their little tractors for maintaining their property or the land, where else do you go to get information?
Right.
And then that one competitor that's now, I guess, gone, that built the really nice grapples, that guy had a great YouTube thing going, and people became fans of that stuff because their local dealer or the Deere, Kubota, Massey, whoever, they don't really interact with their customers. They're doing a better job on social by doing what I would consider B-roll type of videos, stuff you do at a trade show. This is the new feature. Who cares? Let the Tractor Time with Tim type people do the feature benefit stuff. But for you guys, having some sort of educational experience, I think would be the next step in marketing. I mean, learning safety, learning how it applies. I mean, can I go on a tangent?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm about to go on a tangent.
This is your time, buddy. I'm just.
So, I know deer hunters that have lane sharks.
All right.
And I know there's municipalities that have lane sharks. And I know I've used lane shark to help manage for some quail habitat and stuff. That thing is such an amazing thing, and how it applies to a hunter. It's even a subsect of hunters. If you got a guy that's managing just food plots, or a guy that's managing lanes on his hunting deer lease or whatever, or you have a guy that's managing for upland or turkey, your implement can do so many things, and it's different to every hunter. So some sort of educational experience someplace just for the day, you can get content from it. You can get testimonials from it. You can showcase what the next thing is. I think that is what the tractor people are yearning for. I mean, I think COVID should teach us that, used to, a guy comes in and he bought a L series. It was the last tractor he bought, period. He may add an implement there or two, but probably didn't. Tillers don't really wear out. Cultivators don't really wear out for that type of guy. That's a, but I saw folks buying new types of tires and rims for their tractors. Why? I mean, that's not how my dad did it, or my grandfather did it, or my grandfather's grandfather did it. They bought a tractor. It's a tractor. It's a stated tractor. They needed a bigger one. They bought a bigger one. If it wore out, they rebuilt it. If it wore out again, they bought a new one. Now you got guys with a little more disposable income, and they're looking to learn. And that's my tangent. I think that there is an opportunity for the manufacturers, an opportunity for the dealers to actually interact and teach.
Mm-hmm.
To teach.
Right. That is a great idea. It's actually, JC has suggested it a couple times, and I haven't made the time to put the effort into it because we just got so much other stuff going on. Like I've not entertained it at all, but it is definitely a great idea that needs to be entertained eventually. Having a field day, essentially.
Great. It's a great name. Field day with Laneshark. Have a field day with Laneshark. Yeah, it just interacting, and I think and this isn't a new concept. Like I didn't just suddenly think of this. Porsche does this with their track days, right? I mean, you have an anesthesiologist that goes and buys himself a new Porsche. He drives it back and forth from his house to the office. Dude never opens that thing up. Mm-hmm. And he gets an email or something in the mail. It's like, hey, bring your car to Atlanta. I'm going to teach you how to actually run this thing. Dude is, from that point forward, his next vehicle or a second, another or a faster one or a better one, whatever.
Right.
Jeep does it. I mean, I think that is how you grow and you get people to replace and upgrade, is interacting with them. I mean, you guys certainly don't avoid customers through your customer service. I mean, you guys got great customer service and well known for your customer service. So there's nothing, no need to hide from the folks.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Something to work towards. So it's definitely helpful on marketing.
Check.
Glad I asked that question.
I was worried for it. I was ready to go on a tangent about
What
it.
other questions are you waiting on that I haven't asked yet then? Maybe you could just do my job for me today.
Oh, no, well, no. Hey, did you go check those blackberries out of across the street? Did you go ahead and eat any?
Dude, I picked a freaking a huge bowl of them at Daniel's house yesterday.
Okay.
Like the little deck that he has that goes down to his walkway.
Uh-huh.
All that ivy and stuff. I just started picking through. We picked a full bowl of blackberries. The boys love it. Like they just sit there and they keep pointing them out. So it's one of our things now.
That's fantastic. I found another area in the neighborhood that is almost ready. I'm not ready to share it yet because they're still green, but I'll keep my eye on them.
Yeah, well, we're not picking any of the green ones, which I guess they're technically red at this moment, but
yeah, they're red. The ones that are red are actually a native blueberry to Alabama. The ones I found are non-native blueberries that have escaped.
I got you. Yeah, I'm talking about the blackberries. The little they look like a little thing of grapes.
You're talking about black. Oh, you're okay.
Sorry, we got off.
Okay, two different species. Yeah. So okay.
So no, I have not checked out the blueberries yet. We've just been picking the blackberries.
Blackberries.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my wife loves blackberries.
Yeah, I remember being little, going and picking them, and my mom making blackberry jam.
Man.
And picking honeysuckles.
Oh, God.
That smell, man, it just brings me back to my childhood.
Someone should make a candle that smells like honeysuckle.
I'm sure they do, but it probably doesn't smell as good as the real thing.
Mm-mm.
I just remember being little, picking them at my neighbor's house, and my neighbor's grandparents yelling at us, "We're gonna get bit by a rattlesnake." I'm like, well, I know what a rattlesnake sounds like, but but now that I have kids, I think the same thing. I don't even want them to get near it because I don't want them having a chance to get bit by a snake.
We killed a 6-footer in the backyard last year.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that. I killed 2 moccasins off the Daniel's deck last fall. I killed one on like a Thursday, and then that weekend I was cutting some trees down, and there was another one right there at the same spot. Yeah,
there's a friend of mine's a scientist for the state of Alabama, and he works on the water, and for every water snake he sees, he's like, yeah, 80% of them are water moccasins.
Uh-huh.
They're plentiful.
Yeah, I don't like dealing with snakes at all.
No.
I got a buddy of mine that I went to high school with. He breeds exotic snakes. He's always posting pictures. They look cool as hell, but like nothing about a snake appeals to me.
Nope.
Just kill them and be done with them.
I mean, they serve a purpose on this planet like everything else does, but I don't want no black widow in my black widow in my house either. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you stay over there. I don't need you in the house. I'm not gonna go on my way to kill them, but if they're in the backyard, front yard, side yard, or in front of your house, they need to go
within the immediate vicinity of the house. Yeah, I'm with you. I remember one of the weirdest times with snakes. Me and my buddy Rob, we went foiler riding at one of the hunting clubs up in Molino, and we come across 2 6-7 foot rattlesnakes, and they were mating.
Did you let them finish?
No, I mean we didn't. We ended up not killing them because we were out so far, and we were only like 16, so we didn't even mess with them. But I did run over them, but with a foiler, it's not gonna hurt them. But it was weird. Like we ran across them, and like you could see like their organs were like outside of their body. Never seen anything like that in my life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now you can go Google that and see what it looks like.
What style is that?
I guess snake style. Parallel style.
L's. Or 11s. We're going downhill now.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll climb back up a hill. So how much do you deal with like the end user customers, or do you mainly deal with the dealers?
If I mainly deal with the dealers, if I make contact with an end user, it's either, I would say on purpose, or something has gotten to the point where they need me.
Right.
And that could be a positive thing. It could be someone that's, hey, I'm a great bass fisherman, and I'm looking for a sponsorship. Can you help me? That's an opportunity for both of us. Or it could be, hey, I've got this issue. My dealer can't resolve it. Can you help me find help? Because a lot of things on a boat, aside from the engine, you may need a vendor to help you, an electronics, fiberglass issue or something. And then seeking it out would be, where we live. People know who I work for. They see my boats. I fish a couple of local derbies, and I'm not bashful. And, come hang out with me by the boat, and we'll talk about fishing, or, talk about, people, this goes back to marketing for Laneshark or marketing for the tractor industry. People love to see back behind the curtain. They love to see, like, being here is awesome to see what you guys do, but peeking back, if you're excited about something, hunting, automotive, whatever it is, you get to peek back behind the curtain, and that's cool. So talking to someone that is in that industry, for folks, I meet on the river or at a derby or whatever, they love to chat for a minute because they're passionate about it, and they get that opportunity to peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, curious what makes it work. So to go step back, the dealers, what is your overall, like, so do you go out and seek new dealers out, or are you mainly, have the dealers that you have set and you deal with them? How does that work exactly?
My philosophy is I don't like turning over dealers, because once a dealer is no longer a dealer, you kind of orphan customers. They don't know where to go, and I don't like that. I want the retail person to always have someone they can trust. So if a dealer's going through a bad patch, whether it be they've lost some employees or just the vibe isn't there right now, I try to stick with them and help them work through it, figure out a way through it, encourage them to get through it, before I, take them behind the woodshed. But, in our industry, we are always seeking more distribution, especially in the Southeast. I mean, everyone and their mother's moving down here. So places that used to, I wouldn't say off limits, but places that were maybe more rural and had no reason to have a dealership, they're starting to see dealerships crop up because the amount of people there are now more full time, and so yeah, I'm constantly seeking new opportunities, and there's a few changes I need to make in my dealer network, but my dealer network's older, stable, and they're doing a great job.
So can you walk me through the process? Say I'm just like a boat mechanic and I want to start selling your boat, and I give you a call. I say, "Hey, Michael, I want to start selling this boat. What do I need to do?"
I mean, like if you own a mechanic shop and you want to be a boat dealer.
Well, yeah, something like that.
That happens all the time, believe it or not. Because a lot of independent mechanic shops don't have relationships with engine manufacturers. So by getting a boat line, you're given the opportunity, because the manufacturers go, "Hey, Mercury, Yamaha, Suzuki, whoever, hey, I set this guy up. You better set him up for parts and to be a mechanic." So it happens a lot, and I have to be careful of that, because there's a lot of mechanics that are great mechanics, but they're terrible at business and sales. But for your example, you have to have a line of credit. You got to have some money, because you have skin in the game with floor plan. We have cash programs. Most manufacturers have cash programs. But to inventory what you need, you really need a floor plan. You really need to have some bank float that for you. And also, most manufacturers provide interest-free terms for a period of time, so there's little risk as far as additional costs until you reach that point. But you need to have money in the bank, you need to have a floor plan, and you need to have a facility capable of scaling.
So it can't be somebody's like backyard garage.
No, because boats are expensive. I mean, and expectations of customers are not what they were just 10 years ago, and you just can't let some of the stuff sit outside. It's got to be fresh. I mean, there's nothing cheap in the boat industry, and whether your cheapest boat is for the 1%. I mean, let's face it. I mean, like, even an inexpensive boat, for someone to buy that, they're doing pretty good.
Right.
Because it's something you certainly don't need. So you got to have a facility that's scalable. It doesn't have to be the most nicest place, but it's got to be scalable, so you can bring in more product. You can protect it from theft, from sun, from wind damage, from like gravel, dust, and things like that. So I would say that, to sum that up, is you got to have some capital. You need to have a building that you can scale with growth, and you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan.
Right.
You just can't stack stuff out there and expect someone to come in. I see it all the time. Folks don't really have they got a parts guy, and he's also a sales guy. That doesn't work. Parts guys should be parts guys, sales guys should be sales guys. Just have a plan. And there's nothing wrong with starting there, but have a plan to grow.
So we talked about marketing. So earlier, like this new dealer that decides to sell your product, do you force them or require them to do a certain amount of marketing themselves, or how does their specific marketing work?
I hate traditional stuff. I hate boat shows. I hate just the run-of-the-mill stuff. So I encourage my dealers. We have co-op, so you get a boat, we got some money for you on the side, and then we have money set aside to help seed marketing things. Right. I like to see them spend money on, and this also forces engagement. Spend money through sponsored ads, through the social channels, Facebook and Instagram, which also forces them to have a proper Facebook and Instagram page. That's my tactic. One of my tactics. Another thing is that I really like customer engagement stuff. It could be a demo event. It could be a learning event. It could be a women on water event. It could be a family style fishing tournament where everyone's invited. It's not just hardcore guys trying to catch a redfish or something. It's a family event. I really like those types of engagements. The traditional way is like, I go to 4 boat shows a year and I get outside of my community or whatever. Great. Those are sales opportunities, but they're not really marketing opportunities. I really like engagement outside I call it the box. Got to get outside the box. The four walls of your dealership, you got to get outside that box, whether it be through the interwebs or through activity.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my biggest struggle as to why I haven't done more like shows and engagement stuff like that is because the return on marketing with social media is so great, or it has been. It's starting to get a little less now, but like whenever I first started, I didn't have any money when I started this company. And so the only thing I could do is get on Facebook. And it's done so, like, social media's done so well for us that it's like almost spoiled me to where I don't get outside of my four walls, essentially. So that's one thing that we do talk about. We have talked about that, but it's just right now we just don't have the manpower to do it. But I definitely will. We got to get towards the field day stuff. So I like that idea. So what would you say, like, over the last decade? I know you've mentioned a lot of changes in the last decade. What do you think is the biggest change in your industry in the last decade? I like whenever you do that because it makes me feel like I've asked a good question.
It's a great question, and I'm not. Hopefully, this isn't going to be offensive. You know me long enough that sometimes I can be offensive. Try not to be offensive. Customers today don't know much about their own boat.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest change. I grew up. I was given a couple of gallons of gas. I had to be properly mixed with two-stroke oil. I had to prime the bulb. I had to choke it. I had to turn my head just the right way to get that old mercury to fire up. I had to learn how to make a boat run.
Right.
Now, you go buy a boat, turn the key, and it goes like a Lexus. But most boats do turn the key and it goes now, right? It's like owning a Lexus. But if you dunk that Lexus in salt water or fresh water and you shake it around a bunch, it's no longer super reliable.
Right.
So I think customer knowledge of actually boats in general and how the mechanics work of it and how to, fix a couple of simple things instead of taking it to a dealership to fix. I think that has changed dramatically. People doing their own service has changed dramatically. Expectations have gotten so high, and let me put an asterisk next to that. And because someone's gonna be like, well, yeah, they should be high because that bass boat cost more than my first house, and that guy's not wrong.
I love your accent, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on it. I did it in the mirror this morning. Just kidding. So you have this $100,000 bass boat, right? That daggum thing better work.
Right.
So we've done it to ourselves. We've made things so expensive that, we've created a problem, and then the customers have changed. So I guess the biggest changes is people, and expectations. And then there's been like a level of frustration added because you have folks that there's something small broken that just happened because of vibration or wire came off a pump or something. They could have fixed it themselves, but no, they drag it to a dealer, and the dealer's like, that's going to be 6 weeks before they get to it. And they're like, what do you mean it's going to be 6 weeks to fix that little problem? They're like, hey, but you and 40 other people that don't know much about your boats are also getting it fixed too.
Right.
Because the Yamahas, they're not breaking. The motors don't break. Even the other brands, they don't break that often. It's the little stuff that's bogging down these dealerships and changing their perception of customers.
Yeah, it's almost the amount of convenience in our lives now make it to where we don't have to learn the things that older generations had to 100%. Survive and to just make things work. Like you say, you turn the key, it fires up, it works. And it's hard to know what you don't know about those things. Like that, I learn stuff about my tractor all the time, like that I should have probably already known. And it's just through using it and breaking things and tearing stuff up that I learn about it, which I enjoy. Like my whole, the whole F around and find out phrase that's popular now, like that's been my whole life. Like I like to just tear stuff up, figure out what works and what doesn't. So like I enjoy breaking things because it teaches me stuff. Like if I break something, I'm going to learn how to fix it. And so I guess a lot of people probably don't want to find out. They just break stuff and then take it somewhere and get it fixed, and they don't have to learn about it. So
Yeah, but
that's
then they
the
get
convenience
yeah,
that spoils us.
right. But then they get upset because it took 6 weeks. It's like, wait a second. Like, if you'd just maybe learned a little bit or taken a little time, watched a YouTube video, and again, it's. I don't want to upset anyone that's listening to this. Like, I hate my boat because it breaks, or whatever. It's there's too much convenience, and I say this all the time: is, do you think some of these protesters and people with pink hair, if they had to toil at all in their lives, at all, like just toiling, just the old word toil, to toil, if they had to do that, do you think they'd have time to dye their hair pink and protest? No. No, they wouldn't, because they don't have to do anything. Everything is through a device or given to them, and life is super easy. And when life is super easy, we come up with
we
manufacture ways to be angry.
We need hard things, and when we don't have hard things put in front of us, we manufacture our own hard things.
We've talked about this.
Yes.
Yeah, soft men lead to
Hard men create good times create soft men create hard times, and the cycle continues.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got that exactly right.
But it's close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
No.
I've tried to stay away from it and avoid it lately. Yeah. And not pay attention to all of it.
This happened to me recently. Like, one of my kids got bit by or stung by something. And I'm like, dude, come on. It wasn't that big of a deal. I can remember cutting okra, right? And I don't know if you've ever cut okra, you cut okra or whatever, but like, it's always has fire ants in it in our part of the world. I mean, on the stalks, on the buds, I mean, you're cutting it, putting in the bag or whatever, and like, you're just constantly like, ow, ow, getting bit by fire ants. I'm like, I think about my kid that just got like bit by something. I'm like, dude, you've never been in the August heat walking up and down a row cutting okra covered in fire ants, and they getting on your shirt and your hands and your hair. And I'm like, I need to grow some okra, toughen these kids up.
Well, hey, that's next year's garden.
Bunch of okra.
Definitely do that. I'm trying to think if I had anything else. Was there any other questions that you wanted to be asked?
No, I mean, no.
I'd say like the biggest thing that I think I really wanted to ask you about was the marketing stuff, because I have been curious, like, if there are any similarities, parallels in what you do and what we could implement here to help better service our customers and help get more people to find out about us.
Well, I think you've always been on the right track. 'Cause I remember the day I met you. I was sitting on Daniel's couch, and you had a Laneshark shirt on. I'm like, I know that guy from Facebook. And I fanboyed out. I was like, that's a really cool product. I hope I can talk to him. And now we're friends. And that was cool because through my, I guess our generation, I knew you through Facebook. I knew the product through Facebook. So Laneshark guys, I dialed in. I mean, you guys do a great job of that. And having this podcast, I mean, there are lots of people like me that have little tractors that play on land a little bit, and they manage their stuff at their house, and they use it for storms and helping people out, whatever. And when we're traveling or driving, man, they want to listen and learn, see behind the curtain. I think you showing people behind the curtain stuff, even if it's not always something positive, it's an opportunity to teach and learn. And like we're talking about, like, learning, you like to see stuff, break stuff so you can fix it and make it better. I think folks, I said it earlier, people manufacture things to get upset about these days. Mm-hmm. And, if you had something come in that's not quite right, you can say, hey, we caught this. This is not right. It's not going to leave to go to Billy Bob, whomever next. But we want to show you that things are not perfect here.
Yeah, it's like a vulnerability that it's tough to have.
It is, but it's real.
Right.
It's real. And we caught it in our QC process before we shipped it. That's, to me, that's cool. That's something to talk about, seeing behind the curtain.
Right.
Because, everyone has those people they see on social media. It's like, you know them personally, but on social media, man, their life is perfect. Their house is always neat. They're always smiling. But then you see them at a restaurant, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, the people, I definitely had paid attention to that over the years. People that seem to be the happiest on social media, you can tell that they're not. Like they're putting on
Yeah.
this front, like especially the couples that are like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, all over Facebook. I'm like, y'all are trying to convince yourselves, I think.
Yeah, and I've seen other companies do a really good job of taking a negative and turning it into a positive, and not deleting the negative comment, just going, hey, we saw this and we called you at this time and you didn't answer. I've seen that before.
Right.
And the person will respond back, well, I was busy. It's like, well, we're busy too. I think that's the evolutionary process of marketing is, the peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, we're definitely we're working on once we get started over in the manufacturing side, we're gonna have a lot more like a vlog series of showing the process of like coming in and like the robot running and like how everything's gonna move around over there. So that'll be a lot more of a peek behind the curtain. Like here, we're trying to do some little stuff like the guys downstairs, Landon and Jackson. We're trying to get a camera in their hands so they can sort of make some stuff, but so far they haven't taken a whole lot of interest. But yesterday we were in the meeting and we keep messing with, because Jackson has a F-250, a Harley, and a smart car. So we keep talking to him about bringing the smart car inside the office and make a funny video. And yesterday we're sitting in the meeting and I just get a picture of the smart car in the hydraulic room. So they try to make some videos with that, but I don't know if they turned out. But we're trying to get some more behind the scenes and funny stuff like that. So we're working towards that for sure. That's going to be exciting to get that going. But I can't wait to get the vlog going over there. Hopefully we'll start our production in about 2 weeks, and then we'll get some more behind the scenes stuff, show everybody what we're doing.
What about did I hear rumor about a grill guard? You guys doing grill guards again?
That's on the list.
It's at the bottom of the list, the middle top?
So it's honestly probably about third on the list right now.
Because the new laser cutter, right? That'd be a perfect application for something like that, right?
Well, we won't have a laser here.
Okay.
So the way I'm doing it now is I'm buying my material from the supplier. They laser cut it and break it, and then we'll bring it in here and weld everything and do all the fabrication. But the laser scanner is what we were talking about on that one podcast. So I'm actually getting that so we can make more. But one of the reasons I want to get it is a really cool sculpture that I saw somebody make. Basically, it was a guy that was a fabricator, and he had a laser scanner, and his wife was pregnant, and so he scanned her and like made a really cool sculpture of her belly and everything. So I want to do that for Megan with Teddy, the one that's on the way. Hopefully our last kid. So do the sculpture on the last one, and we'll be done.
Third time's a charm.
Let's hope so.
You know how that works, right?
No.
Is there something in the water down there?
Well, it's definitely not in the water because the other two came from the other house. So,
oh, okay.
I think it's just forgot how it works. We keep trying to get the storks to. That's why we moved. I was hoping the storks wouldn't lose our address.
Fly over the river.
But yeah, so that's we're definitely going to work on more brush guards. The problem is, man, like I've got to hire some more people that have fabrication experience, because right now it's just me and my dad that do all of the building and fabrication and stuff. I'm working on moving some people around. Nick is our IT guy, but he does 3D design and everything. So I'm trying to move him into 3D design a little bit more, find someone to take the IT stuff off of him. So I've got a plan in place, but we're just trying to come across the right people. I don't really like to search for people, if that makes any sense, because I don't like to hire random people just off of Indeed kind of thing. So we try to come across the right people at the right time, and usually, so far, it's worked out really well for me. So we're keeping our eyes open, trying to find those people, and then things will gradually shift to being able to produce stuff a lot quicker.
So, Christmas, Thanksgiving week.
For brush guards?
No. So you say you'd like to come across random people. Anyone listening to this podcast, you get Thanksgiving a week off, Christmas a week off. You work for a heck of a guy. Great team. Pensacola is a great place to live. I'm just helping you out because you said this is pretty random.
Yeah, we close at 3 on Fridays. I don't know what other kind of random selling factors do we have.
Get to pick on Landon.
Definitely get to pick on Landon and JC.
He tries to pick on me. It's like, dude, I'm like 44 years old, man. I'm way older than you. You can't pick on me.
But he comes up with some good ones every now and then.
It's genetic.
Yeah.
It's just, that apple doesn't fall far from that tree. Love you, Daniel.
Well, speaking of Daniel, that is how we met.
Yeah, at Daniel's house.
At his couch. And it's funny, like whenever I was reading how you remember us meeting, it's exactly how I remembered it. It cracked me up.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember like I walked in and you're like, I guess you overheard me say, or you may have asked me if I owned it, and I was like, yeah, and then you were just like, you wanted to hang out the rest of the night.
Yeah, I wanted to learn more. I appreciate entrepreneurs, and I appreciate cool ideas, and I appreciate that color green. I think I was thinking about this on the drive here. I was like, why do I like that green so much? And I had a transformer that was that Moline company that went out of business. That green, not Moline. It was a tractor company that was like this color green, or the green of Lanesharkin. I had a transformer that was that color.
I can't remember that one.
And maybe it was just like in my simple part of my brain. But when I saw the Laneshark green, I was like, that makes so much sense. I like that color.
Yep. Yeah, one of the best decisions I ever made was painting it that color. I've always loved green. For the longest time, it was my favorite color, and I didn't even realize it. I told everybody my favorite color was blue.
That's what a boy is supposed to say, right?
Yeah, and I was dating a girl, and the funny thing is, her last name was Green. And I was talking to somebody, and she interrupted me. She's like, "Your favorite color is not blue; it's green." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." And so anyway, I've always loved green, apparently. But as I was starting Lane Shark, there was a guy that I was following out of Texas on Instagram. And he had a white F-250 like mine. He had just lifted it and everything, and he painted the springs and the inside of the wheels and everything lime green. And that's where I was like, this is perfect. It was like perfect time. Like I was trying to figure out the color and everything, and I come across that. I was like, this is the color. This is it. And here we are.
Well, it's perfect because it's a color you can spot, see, and recognize.
Yep.
And then it clashes with everything. Like it doesn't match the John Deere green. It doesn't work well with Coyote Kubota or Bobcat orange. You know, right. It stands out, and it's like, it's not obnoxious.
It doesn't blend in with them. It works well with them.
Absolutely. It works great. But it does. When I meant clash, I meant like clash on the right word. Contrast.
Right.
It's a great contrast to those colors, and it's not. I don't know. It's like that's a great color. It's not like that construction cat color. That's ugly. That looks. Be scared of that. The green is warm. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Well, I think I'm out of questions. Unless you got something else. Is there any other thoughts you've got that you want to explore while we're here?
Yes.
So let's have them.
Just one.
Okay.
Just one. I know you like conspiracy theories.
Okay. I love them.
Have you been reading about they theorize that Rudolph Diesel may have been murdered?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, so they claim that he was depressed and killed himself, jumped off the ship on the way to America, but they think the Canadians may have killed him.
For what reason? This is one I haven't
his
seen
diesel
at all.
Technology, just because it was going to interfere with other people's forms of mechanical industrial revolution type stuff.
Huh.
And it could be wrong. People,
I don't know that I've heard that one. Which they didn't do a good job because the diesel engine came out anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, he invented it and he's already making inroads. But see, Rudolph Diesel wasn't he wasn't a true industrialist. He was just in love with the he he gave or sold the technology to many others. He wasn't into keeping it to himself, proprietary, making it proprietary.
If he was giving away technology, then I'm sure they definitely killed him because they don't like that.
See, that's where that's why conspiracy theories. That's where they go, because he was leasing or giving the technology out for people to build their own diesel engines. He wasn't just about being a manufacturer of it and then keeping it to himself. And so y'all have to look it up, because it's I'm reading the book now, so you have to get into it.
So to go into that one, I actually heard an interesting one the other day, and like it was basically kind of similar to that. As the reason Prohibition ended is because people were making their own alcohol, and it was able to run in cars, and so people would have been creating their own fuel, and they wouldn't have had to buy gasoline.
I would think that there was a lot of families politically connected that made enough money to set up generational wealth. And then the people that they didn't want to make a lot of money creating generational wealth, they went ahead and legalized it because they already made their money, but they didn't want the black market folks, like the mob, to make too much money on it, so they made it legal. That's my theory.
Who knows?
God, they did, though. I like a good bourbon every now and again.
I've actually quit drinking pretty much. Like maybe once a month I'll have a drink. I was like every other day or so I would have one, but I've just gotten, the older I get, the less my body likes alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, since my episode a couple weeks ago, I've not had any grain, but I did have a beer the other day. I had to. It was delicious.
Yeah, it's got to be a scary moment. So, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah. So anyone listening, that, like most men, you may skip an appointment every now and again, skip some blood work. Don't ignore the signs of a heart attack. I had chest pain, and I thought it was from lifting heavy batteries and putting them in my boat. I didn't think was having any issues, and so, I mean, look, I could definitely I could lose a few pounds. I could do some more cardio in my life. I could probably cut out a Whataburger every now and again or whatever. But I don't feel unhealthy. I never had a problem doing anything. But so at any rate, long story short, I started having signs of heart attack symptoms, and I went to Amy. I was like, I'm having nausea on top of this. She goes, oh, it's probably just a pulled muscle. I was like, not if I'm nauseous. At any rate, so go to the ER, and by golly, I had a 95% blockage in my widowmaker. And lucky to be here, because if that would have happened just 1 week later, I would have been traveling. I would have been out of town.
You would have ignored it completely.
I would have ignored all of it. I would not have paid attention to it. And I like that. Lights out.
So is it, whenever you feel those pains, because I've been curious about that before, is it a pain that you feel with your heartbeat, or is it just like a constant, like,
it's like that light right there.
Pain?
It's that light. It's like a light. It's on. Uh-huh. It is and mine felt like, if you ever seen a strobe light, a slow strobe, it felt like it turned on, stayed on, and then would brighten up and then relax a little bit. Brighten up, but
not with your heartbeat.
No, I couldn't connect that. I couldn't connect that. And then it would get intense and back off. I never felt the sitting on your chest thing. But it could be because the right and left side of my heart, the arteries and the valves and everything, and the right and left are perfectly clean. There's no blockages, no issues on that side. Just my center one, the most important one.
Right.
And they call it a widowmaker, and they call it a young man's heart attack because you don't usually live.
Right.
You have a 12%, according to American Heart Association, you have a 12% chance if you have a heart attack in your LAD at home. If you're in the good hospital parking lot, about 25% chance. I mean, there's like triathletes and other folks that are super fit, jogging their way through life, and boom, is one of those things. It's partly genetic and partly because I'm in sales and I travel a lot and I don't always eat the greatest. I don't always eat consistently. I don't always eat at the same time. May eat really, really late because the plane got in really, really late and it's all I had to choose from, But anyway, it's thank you for asking, and it's obviously an opportunity to tell the tale. And men, guys, women out there, don't ignore it. If you're feeling it, you're feeling it, and go get checked out, and don't ignore it, because it could be genetic, like my case, and just take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Well, we will end on that health note.
Yeah. Brought to you by Lanesharkin.
So thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, a share, a comment, any of that good stuff.
Smash that button.
Smash that like button. If you got any suggestions, feel free to comment them below. And if you any guys out there that are interested in coming and sitting down and shooting the shit with me, give us a call, comment, email, whatever you want to do. And we'll end it at that. Again, Michael, thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks for being my friend.
Yes, sir.
See y'all later. Thanks.
Bye, y'all.